Welcome to the Mom and Sons Yucca Root podcast. I'm Billy.
I'm Billy's mom.
And today we don't
About divorce.
yeah, we're not going to get into the specifics, just talk about, the world of divorce.
So, obviously I was divorced and my parents were divorced. A lot of marriages between them.
Yeah.
So we kind of want to talk about, both have perspective on being a kid through a divorce and being the kid and having a kid. Well, you don't have a kid, I don't think yet. You're not divorced. But,
no.
so I feel like we could do probably 45 episodes on this topic because, I've told Billy before that eventually I'd like to have his dad and his stepdad on here, and I'd like to have his stepmom with me on here, and I'd like to, there's a lot of different perspectives. You're getting my perspective and Billy's perspective.
And my perspective, yeah.
But there's a lot that goes into it, so we just want to talk a little bit about that. So obviously my parents were divorced, which at the time I thought was like so fun because I was gonna get to see my dad more all by myself, and I would get multiple Christmases. Just like that's initially every kid's dream, right? And you obviously over time then you start to have different feelings of things. And I remember my dad eventually moved out of state, which just was devastating to me. And I feel like my parents put me in the middle a lot. Maybe talked bad about each other to me, and which was not fair. And there's actually, gosh, I wish I was more prepared and I had this. Maybe in one of the other episodes I'll read it. A judge had spoken about it, and I really love it because it says, when you call your child's parent a whatever bad name.
Yeah. Not going to cuss.
You're calling them a bad name.
Yeah.
Because you're saying that half of them is that.
Yeah.
And it's the worst feeling as a child.
Mm-hmm.
So, fast forward to when I'm older and I think I'm never going to get divorced, and then, so Billy's dad and I got pregnant, and then we decided to get married. It was fairly quick. I think we did 6 months when that happened. And his dad was in the military, so he was gone quite a bit. And so we had Billy, which was just the best thing ever. Mm-hmm. But, as time went on, I think it was really, he was gone all the time. He was deployed. So then it was always kind of like, oh, you're back happy. Oh, you're leaving sad. But there was never like time to get to know each other, and so when we did have time together and we were in Germany and we had a lot of time, I think it kind of just became apparent that this isn't right, and it's we don't not like each other, but we aren't meant for each other. We have a lot of differences and things like that. So
you guys get along plenty fine outside. That's one of the things we wanted to talk about.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna get into that.
But just really quickly, you guys get along fine outside of a relationship besides friends. You guys are good as friends. But it's just some of those relationships. I've had one like this where you guys are better off as friends, not really as much as in a relationship, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's just...
Okay.
Yeah. Just want to say that really quickly.
Yes. And I think that a lot of divorces that end nasty is probably because it a lot of times could have been saved.
Yeah.
And there's probably still feelings there that weren't dealt with.
Yeah.
So we did not have that. I think it was definitely, but when you're going through a divorce, there's always going to be those feelings of hurt, anger, things being said that probably shouldn't be said.
Yeah.
But for me as a parent, I thought I've got this totally figured out. My parents are divorced. I know everything I thought they did wrong. I'm never going to bad talk his dad to him, and I'm never going to do this, and I'm going to, embrace his relationship with his dad, and
Yeah.
all these different things. And so we did. We moved back to the States, and we were doing well. And the one thing that I couldn't plan for is that Billy, came home one day crying, and what's wrong, and he doesn't have a man in his life. And that's, I can do a lot of things, but I can't be a man.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. There's just you can plan a lot and you can think a lot, but, so we moved here so he could be closer to his dad, and it really worked out best for all of us because I ended up getting remarried since we've been here and things like that. But
well, just really quickly, back to the sort of not having a man in my life sort of thing. That was, I think that was around the time that I was getting bullied.
Yeah.
And so I think that was one of the things where if you're getting, I feel like as a kid, if you're getting bullied, especially a son, you want to go to your dad to ask about it because he's probably been through that scenario. I know Dad has been through that scenario now. And he can kind of talk to it a little bit better than a girl, I think, really, because girls get bullied a different way than boys do.
Yeah.
I think boys get bullied a little bit rougher. Girls are manipulated a little bit more. This is just from my experience of hearing my friends and stuff like that. So when you go to somebody, you want to go to your dad to talk about it, and not having my dad for a lot of these things kind of left an empty hole, and so it just kind of overwhelmed me at that point, and it's weird now, and it was weird then. It was weird then to not have a dad, and now it's kind of weird, but at the same time nice that I have a dad to talk to about this stuff,
Yeah.
He's helped me, we've helped change blinker lights and stuff like that, just kind of the sort of dad stuff that you go through.
Yeah, I think that you can do a lot of things as a single parent, but really kids need both parents.
Mm-hmm.
And they need both parents openly and without feeling bad about that. And I think that's just so important. And, Billy's dad and I have had differences along the way. And I think one thing that we've done really well is try to stop, have perspective, talk on the phone, not text, because that's really led to some issues.
Yeah.
And it wasn't always easy, but I think we've come a long way. And I respect his dad. I love your stepmom.
Yeah.
I think it's just a wonderful, and that didn't start off that way. I've told Billy that I remember when his dad had said that he was moving back with Jay, and
Mm-hmm.
I was furious. I was so angry, and it was a lot of my son's going to be with some woman that's not going to be me, and who is this woman? I was just angry is the best way to describe it. And then I kind of stopped and I thought, I can go into this relationship with this girl that I don't even know, pissed off and angry, or I can embrace her.
Yeah.
And really it's her that has to come into this with all the baggage, me being part of the baggage. And so my decision was to write her a letter. And we've never actually talked about the letter, so I would like to have her on this show and see how she felt about that. What'd she say?
I have actually read that letter.
You did?
Yeah, she brought it up one night because we were talking about. Yeah, she does still have it. We were in fact talking about the same thing, that she had come in and you were angry and stuff like that, and she keeps it, I think, in her drawer by her bedside, and so we went up and I read it, and it was definitely very sweet. It showed that you are willing to improve, and I think that's one of the things that happens a lot during divorces too, is that a lot of the times parents aren't willing to improve and heal. Yeah. It's that they want to there's
a lot of hurt.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of hurt.
Yeah.
And my letter to her was mostly saying hey, welcome. Here's my faults. Here's my strengths. I'm happy to have you here with my son, and just, you know, a lot of, it was a long letter.
Yeah, it was a pretty long letter. I think it was 3 pages.
But I never wanted, you know, the more I stopped to think about it, that I just don't want, the last thing I want is for someone that's going to spend time with my child to hate me.
Yeah.
You know, and I want to be able to talk to them, and then Jay's one of my good friends.
Yeah.
Today, you know, like I love her, and now she's got a little girl, and I think she's a wonderful mom.
She does a lot for both of us.
Yeah.
The entire family, really.
So we're lucky to have her. But how
Yeah.
that relationship could have been
gone.
different if I went into it just like hating her for no reason without knowing
Yeah.
her. And I feel like that's what happens so much today.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not perfect, and like I said, we've had differences, me and his dad, but I think we constantly try to put it into perspective, to talk about things, and now we don't really have any differences.
No.
I think, you know,
Yeah.
we're never going to see eye to eye on everything, because that's why we're not married. But we generally meet in the middle,
Yeah.
and just embrace that we're raising this kid. And so, and I just, you know, it's hard. Nothing's perfect. I think we have the perfect divorce situation, but being divorced isn't perfect. You know what I mean?
Never,
Like,
yeah.
the best situation is to have both parents together. And I think Billy will kind of talk about how it sucks, even though in this perfect world, you're constantly going back and forth.
Well, and that, I think, one of the, really, I've been, again, thinking about this during the whole episode. Transportation, I think, is one of, at least in recent, you know, situations or stuff like that, transportation is one of the biggest things that even I'm involved in, on where to go and stuff like that. So recently, starting work as a lifeguard, I have been picking up a lot of substitution shifts and stuff like that. And so I'm not sure exactly when I end my shift a lot of the times. And it's hard to communicate when you're on stand and you can't have your phone out. And
for Billy, he doesn't always know who's going to get him.
no. And thank God for Jay. She almost all the time is available for me to get a ride with. And if we didn't have as good of a relationship, it could have been, oh, well, just ask your mom or something like that. But she is always there for me. And that's another good thing that I'm kind of, you know, happy about, is that all of us are supporting. Even if one of us, like if Dakota wasn't very nice to Dad or something like that, that could make the whole thing change, you know. And it's good that we all get along and stuff like that. And
I think you have to have the same common goal, which is your child.
Yeah.
You need to put everything else aside, and now this is, for 18 years and more, going to be your common goal.
Yeah.
And you have to raise them. You have to raise them well, and you have to raise them with love, and you can't ever put them in the middle, and that's important.
Mm-hmm. I think that what you were saying earlier about the multiple holidays is definitely very nice, but when you get older and you're starting to understand the problems of divorce and stuff like that as the kid, it's kind of hard. You know, you want to see your grandma on Christmas, but you're going to a separate household, so you have to figure something out. And it's really, I think, with divorce, on my perspective, it's been a lot of scheduling and stuff like that on different times to see which parent on different times to go to whose house for holidays and stuff like that. And I definitely think that if we, again, didn't get along, that just scheduling would be so much harder to do. And
I cannot imagine, you know,
Yeah.
if we weren't communicating, what that would look like.
Yeah.
Because, and I know it happens. I hear about it all the time, that, you know, they're not talking to the ex, or this isn't happening. Well, who's suffering?
yeah,
They will.
yeah,
You know, it sucks for them, and that, it shouldn't be the case.
yeah. I another good example, I think. During one of my Pop Warner football games, I was talking to you, and I told you that we had gotten. This is when we were a little bit more health conscious. This could have gone in the last episode, but I was talking to you, and I told you that I had gotten Taco Bell and gotten soda and stuff like that, and I don't know the whole side of it, but I think you had talked to Dad about that, saying that that's probably not a good thing for me to do, especially being health conscious, is to go to a Taco Bell and eat fast food and stuff like that. And so I remember Dad sitting me down and having that talk with me and saying, a little birdie told me this. And looking back on that, in that moment, I was super scared. But looking back,
A little birdie told you what?
that I had told you that I had gotten soda and stuff like that, and that I shouldn't have done that or whatever, and because you were the more health conscious one, and I was too young to really remember the whole situation, but I do remember that it seemed like you had been mad that I had gotten that. And so me telling you that, you had to communicate with Dad that that's not right, and so he had to communicate with me that we'll work on it and stuff like that. And so another instance of communication is key. And so
Well, and I really try to, if there is a problem, I don't involve Billy. You know, I go to his dad and we talk about it and we try to make it right. And, you know, because they shouldn't be the messenger, they shouldn't be the in between, they shouldn't know more than they need to know, you know. So it's like, you have to communicate.
Yeah.
Communication really is the key in all that.
yeah.
I remember when, going to a different subject, but when the first time Billy was sick, when he was visiting his dad and Jay, and so Jay was still kind of new, and she had texted me and said, I got him NyQuil. I don't remember the exact situation, but basically I got it covered and we got him medicine, and I was like, just started crying and was like, this is everything I would have done. And I feel like I'm so happy that there's someone, because dads are dads.
Yeah.
And it's not even his dad, it's every dad just doesn't think about things. And so in that moment I was like, I'm so glad that there was another woman there that thinks about things, that took care of my son, and she didn't have to. And what an amazing moment that is.
Yeah. I remember when I had gotten pneumonia, and that was pretty bad. And I remember we were still living in the apartment, and it wasn't just Dad, but really everyone. I had gotten cards from my school and stuff like that. Everyone was there to support me, and I think that's really what you're there for, is to support your kid, you know? Supporting me through sports, Dad's supporting me through teaching me how to do different things, you know? He's taught me how to clean a gun, how to change the light out of your car's brake lights or headlights, and just how to change a tire, you know? It's just...
And if we didn't have that relationship, and I hadn't moved here, and all these things wouldn't have happened, you know, I just think about what he'd be missing out on.
Yeah.
You know, by only, and it'd be nice for me, but
Yeah.
you know, but that's not what it's about. It's about, it wouldn't be healthy for him, and my ultimate goal is him.
Yeah.
So I think you know, you need both parents, and you need, and welcoming good step parents. You've got two good step parents.
Very much, yes.
And it's a good situation. I know sometimes it looks weird to other people because, you know, we all go to birthday parties and we all have each other over, and you know, like, but it's a good weird. I love it. I love that this is our weird.
It's a big family.
Yeah.
It's not two separate families. We're all here under the same invisible roof sort of thing, but still together.
Yeah. And his grandparents, his dad's parents, have supported me every step of the way through the divorce and now. And I mean, they're just such wonderful people. I'm so thankful for them. And so we've got it really good. So I think that takeaways from this is
we're not trying to gloat and say we have a good
sort of, because I didn't always, and I was that kid, you know, and I've seen it from different eyes, and And yeah, I get it. I get that there's so many hurt feelings. I get that there's a lot on the back end, but like I said, you have to keep focused that this is your priority.
Yeah.
And just because that's ended doesn't mean this ends, you know, like you still have to make a good person.
Yeah.
So I think takeaways are communication, deal with your hurt feelings aside.
Yeah.
Don't talk bad about the other parent in front of your kid. And just generally keep them first and put yourself in their shoes, what you would want to happen or how you would want to feel. And those are probably the biggest things.
Yeah.
Don't give them adult things either, you know. I remember at one point my dad said, I had asked him for sneakers or something, and he said, that's why I give your mom child support. And
Whoa.
like looking back at that, like he should have never said that to me. You know, like I didn't need to feel uncomfortable, which I did.
Yeah, that's definitely
in that
very
moment, and it's just those are little things that we do, and we don't think about it, but little kids overthink about it.
Yeah.
And so don't put that on them.
Well, and that's another thing where, as a kid, you think your parents are Superman. You know, you think they're invincible and stuff. So to have
Never make mistakes.
yeah, to have that little crack, to get hit with that shock almost that they said something like that, or you see them crying for whatever reason, you know, it's just a shock to see something like that. And so even it's just, that's, I think, as a kid's perspective, when you say something like that, it goes with you're not saying it just to the parent, you're saying it to the kid too, because they take away from that as well.
They are half of that person.
Yeah.
So what you just have to remember that. So no matter how you feel, no matter what you think, whatever you say about that person, you're saying about your kid.
Yeah.
Perspective, you know, like you have to remember that.
Yeah.
So, anywho.
All right.
Well, like I said, I would like to do a lot more episodes on this topic. I don't know how soon we will, but there's a lot of different aspects of it.
Yeah.
And, you know, any questions that you guys have, we're happy to answer. But, yeah, this is an important one.
Yeah.
And I've worked really hard at it, and I think your dad's worked really hard at it, and to make it good for you. So you better be thankful.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll make sure to get that tree down in the next episode.
Yeah.
Just past Christmas now.
Think of this as the holiday special that we said to do that we never did. We just constantly leave the tree up, and that's a holiday special.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you in the next episode.
Go to YouTube and subscribe.
Yep.